Yeah, so I haven't been live on here for a while, so I thought I'd just do this live stream now. I have done this live stream across on my YouTube channel, which is on my Facebook page, sorry, which is Marianne Hanson Counselling Service. But I thought I'd just come on here. It's not going to be a really long live, and I am going to do live streams more on here, but most of my live streams are on Facebook. So you can also check out, if you haven't already, my new YouTube channel, which is called Marianne Living Life. It's got more what can you call it, lifestyle sort of stuff on there, less about my counselling side of things. It's just an opportunity for me to share things like my short breaks, if I do any events or any like family events and things like that. So what I want to talk about in this video is the four different negative types of, five types of negative communication. So there's probably loads more than five, but I've just narrowed it down. So as a counsellor, I work with lots of couples and individuals where some of these things come up. And it doesn't always just have to be in relationships with spouses. It can also happen within friendship groups and with family. So the first one you've probably all heard about because it's quite commonly used now, this term gaslighting. So all it really means is when someone is trying to convince another person of something in order to create doubt or emotional distress. So it can be done in different ways. So maybe someone puts their keys down in a certain spot every single day. And on that particular day, the perpetrator removes the keys, and then they'll be saying to that person, well, no, you didn't put them there and you never put them there. So I don't know what you're looking there for anyway. You know, you're useless. There's something about you that, and all of this. So it creates doubts within that person. They second guess themselves. Maybe the person's right. Maybe I am useless. Maybe I didn't really put the keys there. So that's like not even a major thing. But when gaslighting is used in a major way, it can have even more devastating effects. So it could be that someone is saying to that person, I don't like the way you talk to me, or it makes me feel really scared when you're threatening me, and then they can turn it all the way around. What do you mean you feel threatened? What do you mean I'm not screaming at you, even when the person is screaming at them? What do you mean you feel threatened or scared? I'm not even threatening or scary. It's you. You're the problem. You're the problem because you think that everyone that talks to you in this way is threatening, when really they're not. They're talking to you normally. There's something about you. You need to go and see a doctor. You need to go and see a counsellor. So when it's done in that way, the person can not only start to question and doubt themselves, they can also feel like they're going crazy. And so gaslighting, the main way it's used is in a manipulative way, where the person can actually feel like they're going crazy. And it is a way that if it's used a lot on certain people, then they can actually start to feel that they're losing their mind, because that's like what the main way it's used. It's emotional abuse. So the second negative form of communicating is ignoring or stonewalling. So they're similar but slightly different. So stonewalling just means that whenever someone is bringing a topic to you, so that could be whether it's a child bringing an issue to a parent, you know, let's talk about stuff from childhood, or let's talk about when I was a teenager and this happened, and the parent will be, what are you talking about that for? What are you bringing things up from the past for? This has got nothing to do with us right now. Go and make me a cup of tea. Or I don't want to talk about this right now. I'm not feeling very well. Or what are you talking about this for? You know, we're having a nice day, you're spoiling it. So stonewalling is literally just putting the wall up and to shut the other person down. Whereas ignoring is where you literally don't even acknowledge what the person has said, or ignoring can be on lots of different levels. So it's not just your basic, someone's ignoring me because they haven't replied to my text. It's more malicious intention. There's intention behind it. So if someone is using that as a strategy to ignore you, it means they'll go for prolonged periods of time where they will literally just blank you completely. So you could be living with your partner and they could come into the house and you could just say, hi, how's your day been? And they're just ignoring you, or they're going into another room. It could be that you're texting and they're just ignoring your text messages, and they know that that's what they're doing. So that's why I'm saying it's intentional. It's not they've been busy and they haven't had a chance to reply. It's a conscious decision to say that they're going to ignore the person. That's why it is also emotionally abusive, same as stonewalling. And the main reasons behind these two things, the gaslighting, the ignoring, the stonewalling, is that the person wants to shut you down. So what you have to think about is in any of these situations, it's always because that person does not want to allow you to talk. They're either fearful that whatever you say is going to turn into, something more and that it's going to affect them, or they're intentionally doing it because they just don't want to hear it. They're like, I don't want to hear this right now. Sometimes it's even more sinister than that. I don't care what this person has to say. I don't respect them anyway. And the more I can stonewall them or block them or ignore them or gaslight them, the happier I'm going to be, because I don't really want to be in this relationship with them, but I feel like I have to. I've got no better options, got nowhere to go. I've got no respect for them, but so I'll just keep stonewalling them, keep gaslighting them. So if this becomes a pattern, then that's where you have to step in. And what I always say to people, when you're dealing with someone who's gaslighting, or a narcissist as well, forget even trying to get into it with them. You're not going to win because it's their game, and they're going to just find other ways to turn it around and just make it seem as it's your fault. And the more distress you get, the happier they're going to be. So that's why it's pointless trying to pacify, pointless trying to be rational, pointless trying to have a conversation. Just let the person get on with it. Say something like, well, if that's what you think or that's what you believe, or just leave it altogether, With the ignoring, I think that's more difficult. If you're living together as a couple, maybe it's about either confronting it head on and saying, I noticed that we haven't been communicating with each other lately. Or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then it could be writing it down in a letter by saying, what's going on here, we're just not connecting. Or it could just be leaving the situation. You may have to temporarily take some space, because it is a form of emotional abuse to be living with someone who is completely ignoring you. The tension and the stress that causes, and the mental exhaustion, is major. It does affect a lot of people. The fourth one is victimizing. So victimizing is when whatever you do, if you go to speak to someone, so the same as whether it's family, friend, or a partner, they always put you back to them. They're the victim. Why are you bringing this up now? Why are you making me upset? Why are you always talking about this? I can't believe you're attacking me like this again. I can't believe you keep saying this. I can't believe how hurt, you're making me feel. Why don't you stop talking about it? It affects me. It hurts me. So what happens with that is that they're shutting you down, but also it's probably them that has done the wrong thing to you. You're trying to raise it with them, and then they're turning it back around and calling themselves a victim. So they might have shouted at you, or they might have said something like, oh, you don't deserve to be with me. You're this or you're that. And then the next day when you raise it and say, do you know what, why did you say that to me? They say, oh, why are you going on about this now? You've called me names as well. Or why are you talking about this? I said I was sorry, didn't I? What are you bringing this up for now? We've gone past that now. So they're the victims. So straight away you feel bad. You decide to shut it down because you feel like, oh, I shouldn't really have been raising that. So it's similar to gaslighting in the sense of it's all geared towards shutting people down. So all of these types of negative communication, majority of them are intentional, and they're also quite thought out and thought through, because I believe that people know, not everyone knows how to be a good communicator. That's something you have to learn or practice, or it doesn't come natural to everyone. But people do know majority of the time when they're saying something which is destructive to another person, or when they're saying something which they know they shouldn't be saying, or they know the impact it will have. I don't believe that in a lot of cases people generally don't know that. So with victimizing, it's intentional. And the fifth one is threats or ultimatums. So if someone's always throwing ultimatums at you and say, go on then, go and get someone better, you know what I mean? I'm the best you're ever going to have, or I'm leaving if you keep carrying on like this, because you don't deserve me anyway, you're lucky to have me, or whatever it is. Or in a family, if someone says, if you want to be part of this family, you must do this. Or if you don't stop acting like this, then the rest of the family's not going to talk to you anymore. Or things like that. So you have to think that if someone is using that, then they're quite insecure within themselves, because the only time that people are really going to use threats and ultimatums is because they feel that they're losing the situation that they're in, and they don't have the capacity or the mental intellect to maturity, should I say, to have a normal conversation. So then they become insecure, so they just say, well, you might as well leave, or I'm going to leave because it's easier than actually addressing the issue. So in all of these situations, you can either decide to tackle it head on and put boundaries in place, or you can decide to walk away from it. But the key thing you don't want to do is get like embroiled in this like drama thing with someone that is playing these sorts of games. Don't try and play the same game back. Don't try to get into the game and tackle it and say, I'm going to win at this. This person's thrown an ultimatum, so I'm going to throw one back. Because in the end, you're going to probably end up losing unless you go through with your ultimatum. Because there's no point in having a couple where you constantly say, I'm leaving. No, well, I'm leaving then. Go on, well, you leave. Well, you leave. I'm breaking up with you. Well, you break up with, I'm breaking up with you. And you can have couples where all of these dynamics exist. There's a lot of gaslighting in the relationship. There can be a lot of ignoring each other. There can be the emotional abuse coming from both sides or one side, the victimizing, or the threats or the ultimatums. And you can just have this pattern that just continues. And even within couples counselling, it can continue. Even after couples counselling, it can continue. And then you can have relationships which just go on like this for years. No one breaks the pattern because it's just how they operate as a couple. And then it can either become more abusive, it can turn into physical abuse, it can turn into other types of abuse, coercive control, or it can just disintegrate on its own because neither party can like maintain that. So these are just some of the different types of negative communication. There's loads more, but it was just to give you an idea of some of these and maybe some of the ways you can tackle it. So if you found this video useful, feel free to leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Anyone that watches this on the replay, because obviously it's a live stream, but you can watch the replay of it. Leave your comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And thanks for watching. See you all soon. Bye.